You've been here before. You get your favorite champion in ranked, lock in your runes and lock in your favorite skin, but as you head into the loading screen you realize something. You realize you ran this skin last game, and the game before that, and the game before that one too. You play this champion a lot, yet despite owning multiple skins for them, you use this same one in almost every game. And you wonder, why is this the case? Why, despite having a variety of different ways to experience the game through visual and auditory redesigns, do we find ourselves defaulting to the same one over and over again? By taking a look at concepts such as the psychology behind splash art, sound object and color association, physics, and intrinsic value as it all pertains to our personal and gaming identities, my hope is that by the conclusion of this analysis, we'll be able to better understand the variety of possible reasons why we have favorite league skins and why some skins just feel better to use. So to start us off with the baseline, let's first begin things quick and simple by diving into the importance behind splash arts and the narrative groundwork they lay for the overall skin. Now, splash arts are of course images meant to encapsulate the idea behind a skin, as well as give us an idea of the character fantasy we'll embody by using it. While characters by default may have their basic personalities present through voice lines and skins, such as most of the non-legendary ones for example, splash arts are capable of significantly changing the reality in which these personalities exist in. You can almost think of it as selling an illusion, so to speak, and to kind of explain what I mean by this, let's use our favorite Star Dragon as an example. Take Aurelion Sol's Ink Shadow skin, which he's a giant, powerful beast of the cosmos that envelops Rabadon City and whose size is only further amplified by the comparatively small presence of Master Yi. When using this skin, this is the Aurelion Sol that we envision, but the actual Aurelion Sol skin looks more something like this. Even still, the idea of selling a fantasy for a player to embody is of course a major factor in some of the more popular skin lines, be it transforming your favorite gunslinger into a heat-packing cowboy or your favorite void puppy into an actual puppy. And in the cases of most legendary skins, custom voice lines only push this narrative further. But while a skin's overarching story may be a relatively minor factor to some in regards to the player experience, as mentioned previously, this narrative sets the groundwork for more significant elements behind the gameplay of a skin, including aspects such as sound object and color association. Sound object association can simply be described as a connection that is formed when we see an object and hear what it sounds like. A fun, more familiar example of this could be the popular memes of images people can hear. Though obviously there's no sound provided to these images, most of us have linked both the sound and image together and therefore only need one end to subconsciously have the other one come to mind. This is one of the major factors in determining how skins feel, as it can take the same animations yet still make them feel very different when paired with different audio. Take my favorite champion Gangplank for example, and the default E sound on his oldest skin, Spooky Gangplank, compared to the sound on Gangplank the Betrayer, his currently most recent skin. Both skins use wooden barrels visually and use the same animations, yet when these barrels are placed they each seem to have a different weight to them, so to speak. So firstly we have Spooky Gangplank's barrel sound, and now Gangplank the Betrayer's. Now, Spooky Gangplank's barrel sound is a little more rickety and sounds more like wooden boards that are made of a lighter substance, think like a thin fence board for example. Comparatively, Gangplank the Betrayer's barrels have more prominent sounds of iron chains clacking together, something associated with a heavier substance like metal, which is of course often heavier than the aforementioned fence board. Though of course we don't visually see either of these things in game, subconscious sound object association can cause us to reason that the iron metal sound is heavier than the wood board sound, since traditionally iron metal is a heavier substance. Because it sounds heavier, we interpret this as the barrel itself actually being heavier, despite no changes actually being made to the animations or the timings of the ability. This difference leads to skins developing varied feelings, so to speak, and in this case meaning that the barrels of Gangplank the Betrayer feel quote-unquote heavier compared to his normal barrels. And in regards to color association, this concept is more commonly understood, as the significance of color indicators are a crucial part of interpreting the environment surrounding us, whether we interpret blue as representative of the sky, green as representative of nature, or darker versions of both these colors as representative of two goated YouTube channels. But as for how this translates to favorite skins, I have Empyrean Pike as my personal favorite because I enjoy both fusions of color and high contrast styles, with Storm Dragon Lee Sin being my second favorite due to my favoritism of his clean electric blue coloring, and the fact his ultimate sound is so good. Though a simple concept, we all have favorite colors or design styles, and sometimes we just like skins that feature those preferences. And while covering the topic of legendary skins, let's break down why this skin tier creates such love or hate skins due to how their changed animations impact the physics of their abilities. Taking another popular skin for reference in Project Mordekaiser, this skin has gained a bit of reputation amongst their player base for feeling a bit off, so let's assess why this may be the case through the lens of how animations affect the feel of a skin using this skin's E as an example. Now of course, since skins in League are designed to remain solely cosmetic and have no impact on the ability's timing or mechanics, the cast time for this animation will still remain the same despite being a legendary skin, so how could it feel different? Let's track the movement of the hand in Death's Grasp with his normal animations compared to his project animations. For all of Mordekaiser's normal animations, the hand moves like this, and as for Project Mordekaiser, it moves like this. Though the duration of the animation remains the same, the two motions the hand uses are very different, with the project skin having a much snappier animation while his base skin has a smoother one all the way through. And though this difference may seem minute, since after all there's no difference in the total time of the animations, when you've played any champion for an extensive period of time, small adjustments to any of their little quirks may make new animations feel a bit off. And personally, this is something that I've felt with Jax's somewhat recent visual update. Though of course these animations look much better than their immensely outdated predecessors, the additional amount of flair they have leads the champion to feeling less compact and clunky, but instead a lot smoother and more majestic, so to speak. Overall, this change was of course definitely a visually positive one. However, as someone who played the champion previously and is now given him a few tries since, it did feel initially off-putting to say the least. Though it's outside of its animations, people still may like PAX Jax for a different but still common reason, which is liking the skin just because it's very rare. Now, while League has a large portion of their skins available for purchase at all times, with some less common ones only returning for a few weeks during a special occasion each year, most skins in the game aren't considered too rare, maybe outside of how much people are willing to shell out for them. But even for those skins that are unavailable, there are still a select few that cannot even be re-rolled because they've been vaulted away pretty much for good, therefore making them desirable due to their scarcity and making the lucky few who own the skin only like to use it even more. A well-known example of this is of course the PAX Twisted Fate skin, which is at most in the locker of just 20,000 accounts, or around 0.00013% of the player base, due to it being exclusively available in 2009 at that year's Penny Arcade Expo. Naturally, for those who are enthusiasts of Twisted Fate, a champion with currently no specially animated legendary skins, this skin uses the same animations as all of his others, looks good for its age, and is a huge flex against opponents. And even outside of this example, the ability to showcase something others will likely never access in any circumstance of the game is reason enough to constantly lock in a skin, even if the skin itself may not be anything especially noteworthy. But now, as you return to looking at the skin you've just locked in for the upteenth game in a row, consider why you always run this one skin in particular. Maybe you like the sound effects or the color palette, or maybe you just run the skin solely for the purposes of flexing on your opponents. But no matter the reason, ultimately what matters is that it's the one that you feel the most comfortable on, and it's the one that you enjoy using as your signature touch to the character, because after all, some skins just at the end of the day feel better than others. And if you enjoyed this video, consider leaving a subscription if you'd like to see more of my content or support me as a small content creator. Feel free to check out all of my different socials in my link tree down below. With that being said, hope you guys have a great rest of your day or night. As always, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Later!